Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep into A Course in Miracles again today.
Yeah.
And specifically, Lesson 100.
It's a good one.
My part is essential to God's plan for salvation.
That's right.
So why don't we just dive right in and read the entire text of the lesson?
Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Just as God's Son completes his Father, so your part in it completes your Father's plan. Salvation must reverse the mad belief in separate thoughts and separate bodies, which lead separate lives and go their separate ways. One function shared by separate minds unites them in one purpose, for each one of them is equally essential to them all. God's will for you is perfect happiness. Why should you choose to go against his will? The part that he has saved for you to take in working out his plan is giving you that you might be restored to what he wills. This part is as essential to his plan as to your happiness. Your joy must be complete to make his plan be understood by those to whom he sends you. They will see their function in your shining face and hear God calling to them in your happy laugh. You are indeed essential to God's plan. Without your joy, his joy is incomplete. Without your smile, the world cannot be saved. While you are sad, the light which God himself appointed as the means to save the world is dim and lusterless, and no one laughs because all laughter can but echo yours. You are indeed essential to God's plan. Just as your light increases every light that shines in heaven, so your joy on earth calls to all minds to let their sorrows go and take their place beside you in God's plan. God's messengers are joyous, and their joy heals sorrow and despair. They are the proof that God wills perfect happiness for all who will accept their Father's gifts as theirs. We will not let ourselves be sad today, for if we do, we fail to take the part that is essential to God's plan as well as to our vision. Sadness is the sign that you would play another part instead of what has been assigned to you by God. Thus do you fail to show the world how great the happiness he wills for you, and so you do not recognize that it is yours. Today we will attempt to understand joy as our function here. If you are sad, your part is unfulfilled, and all the world is less deprived of joy along with you. God asks that you be happy so the world can see how much he loves his Son, and wills no sorrow rise up to abate his joy, no fear beset him to disturb his peace. You are his messenger today. You bring his happiness to all you look upon his peace, to everyone who looks on you and sees his message in your happy face.
Wow, that's powerful stuff.
It is.
I mean, just hearing those words, The Course really emphasizes the importance of joy.
It does.
It's not just some fleeting emotion, right?
Right.
It's absolutely essential to God's plan for salvation.
And it's interesting because early on in the Course,
Yeah.
we kind of get this sense that joy is like a byproduct.
Uh-huh.
Like if you do the work, joy will naturally follow.
Right.
But this lesson is saying something a little bit different.
Right. It's saying that joy is actually a crucial part of the process.
Yeah.
It's not just a result. It's an active ingredient.
So it's almost like a responsibility then.
I think so. Yeah.
We have a responsibility to be joyful.
Right.
To embody joy.
Because that joy then ripples outwards and helps to heal the world.
And, it really challenges this idea that our happiness is just a personal thing.
Absolutely.
Right? Saying, no, our joy actually has an impact on everyone around us.
Yes.
On the whole world.
We're all interconnected, right?
Right.
So our joy or our lack of joy actually affects everyone.
And it's really interesting because the core, so much of it is about this inner work.
Yeah.
Right? Like looking within and changing our perception. And then this lesson comes along and says, yeah, but that's not enough.
Yeah.
We also have to express that joy outwardly.
Right.
And it has to manifest in our lives in a tangible way.
It has to shine through.
Yeah, exactly. So how does that work then?
Well, I think it goes back to this idea of being a messenger of God. We're not just working on ourselves for our own benefit. We're also meant to share that joy with the world, to be a beacon of light for others.
So it's not just about feeling happy inside.
It's about letting that happiness radiate outwards.
And that's what helps to save the world.
That's what helps to heal the separation.
Now, when the lesson says salvation, it's not talking about some kind of, afterlife or, being rescued by some external force. It's talking about waking up from the dream of separation.
Exactly.
Realizing that we're all connected.
That we are all one.
That we are all part of God.
That's right.
And our joy is a crucial part of that awakening.
It's the proof that we're getting it.
Right. It's the evidence that we're starting to see the world differently. And when we embody that joy, we're showing others that it's possible.
Right.
That there's another way to experience life.
A way beyond fear and suffering.
Yeah, exactly.
A way of peace and love.
And it's interesting because the lesson also talks about this idea of playing a part.
Yes, it does.
It says sadness is the sign that you're playing another part instead of the one that God assigned you.
Right.
So what do you think that means?
Well, I think it's saying that when we choose sadness, when we choose fear, when we choose anger, we're essentially buying into the ego story.
Right.
We're playing the role of the victim.
The separate self.
Yeah, the separate self.
Right. And that's not who we really are. Our true identity is joy.
It's love.
It's peace.
And it's our responsibility to embody that,
Right.
to express that.
And so this idea of being a messenger of joy, how do you think that plays out in our everyday lives?
Well, I think it starts with our own inner practice.
Okay.
Making a conscious effort to choose joy,
Right.
to focus on the good, to cultivate gratitude.
To remember who we really are.
Exactly.
To remember that we are a part of God.
And then that joy naturally starts to overflow into our interactions with others.
Right. It becomes effortless.
You don't have to try so hard.
Right. It's just who we are. And then we start to see opportunities to be a messenger of joy everywhere.
In our relationships, at work,
Yeah.
even online.
And that's an interesting point you bring up about online
Yeah.
because social media can be such a breeding ground for negativity.
It can be, yeah.
Comparison, judgment, anger.
All of that.
So how do we be a messenger of joy in that environment?
Well, I think it starts with being mindful of what we consume.
Okay.
Are we following accounts that uplift us, that inspire us?
That make us feel good.
Or are we constantly bombarding ourselves with negativity?
Right. And it's not about just ignoring the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Right. It's about being conscious of what we're exposing ourselves to.
Exactly.
And then it's about how we respond. When we see something that triggers us.
Right.
Do we engage in the drama or do we take a step back?
Right. Do we remember our true identity?
And choose a different path.
Right.
And sometimes that means just scrolling on by.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it means offering a kind word. Sometimes it means just sending love and light.
But always coming from a place of peace,
Right.
not from a place of judgment or anger.
And I think it's also important to remember that everyone online is going through something. Right? They have their own struggles, their own pain.
Their own story.
And so even if someone is being negative, we can choose to see them with compassion,
Right.
To understand that they're probably hurting.
And that hurt is often coming from a place of fear,
Right.
which is the opposite of love.
Exactly.
And so our job is to bring love to that situation.
To be the light in the darkness.
No.
And, social media can also be a great tool for spreading joy.
No, absolutely.
We can share inspiring quotes, uplifting stories, beautiful images. We can use it to connect with like-minded people.
To build community.
To share our own experiences of joy.
Yeah.
And to remind others that they're not alone.
Exactly.
So I think it's really about being intentional. Using social media consciously
Right.
as a way to extend our joy out into the world.
And to remember that our joy is a gift. It's a gift to ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's a gift to the world.
And so as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I just want to encourage everyone listening to really take this lesson to heart, to embrace your joy,
To let it shine.
to be a messenger of God's love and peace.
Because you are essential.
You are a vital part of the plan.
And without your joy, the world is incomplete.
So go out there and spread your light.
And remember,
Yeah.
joy is your birthright.
It's who you really are.
Embrace it.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time.
Be well and be joyful.
See ya!
And as always, we invite you to share any comments, questions, or experiences related to the course that this deep dive has sparked for you. You can reach us at ACIM@theworldharmonyproject.org. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time.
Take care.